Hello, I'm Silveraxis, and then this is the realm guide for Toto'Haha's Ouma Realm. The Toto'Haha Ouma Realm is actually a really good realm because it's very fast for farming, depending if you have the right units and can make a good team. Because you can effectively get zero mob fight encounters, allowing you to rapidly go through the fights. So this is a really good place to grind TP crystals for all your units, depending. So first up, we have the shadow locations for this. I have marked them all in the blue X's, you can see, and you'll also notice that I put numbers for the two ladders. The reason for that is the ladders are the most key important to this Ouma realm. The ladders are what allow you to reset the encounter rate, so that way you can effectively get no encounters. The key to this is the Repellent Beret 2 accessory that reduces encounters by 50%. You can buy this from the Silver Shard Exchange for 30,000 silver shards. So if you have not bought that accessory, you really need to do so because that's what makes this farm possible. So the way this is going to work is you're going to have your team, and you'll be able to do this with just a single team, so because you'll be able to get avoid encounters basically 99% of the time if you don't mess up. So as you can see here, you're going to spawn here at this thing, and so then the best strategy is to walk to the right to see if there's a spawn at the spot at the right, because you'll be able to see the one at the top, and so then you want to get these, moved away down to here, and then immediately hit ladder number 1 to reset your encounter rate. And then from ladder number 1, you can move down to here to check out these. And at the top of this cliff, too, if there's one there. If there's not one at the top of the cliff, because you can see it from here, you can just stop to not risk anything. But if you go to the top of the cliff, because there is one, you'll be able to see the ones that are up here as well from a distance. And this is also assuming that the game doesn't like you and gives you the Shadow Revealer one late. So then you'll go back after that. After hitting ladder 1 and going up here to check these, you can then go back down this way and hit ladder 2 and grabbing this one on the way. And if you do it and without wasting any steps, you will not get into any encounters. Then going up ladder 2, you can go all the way up to here. And then by that point, the boss will have spawned. And so then you can open your map to see where it spawned. And then unless it spawned up here, you want to go back to ladder number 2. Do not go down the normal way. Just make sure you hit the ladder to reset your encounter. And then from here, you should be able to go to wherever the boss is without any encounters. So with that, you'll be able to get to the mini boss and the boss and never run into encounters. And because you're not running into any random encounters, with the right team, and the fact that there is a healing shadow every single run, you'll be able to infinitely loop this without ever needing to go to the end. So for the mini boss and final boss, I have screenshots here to show what they are. This is on, Realm 3, the 3rd level, just for higher farming. You'll see that they do not really share, they actually don't share any common weaknesses besides lightning. And the first one has 18 shields, but is much weaker in terms of stats than the final boss with 25. The main gimmick to this is that while you will be able to use one team to run through this, you will actually need 2 teams. It's technically on the party menu that you can swap between, because you'll want your main DPS probably in the. I mean, you can do it with one, but I like to do it safely just in case somehow I do get hit to an encounter, because then I can clear the mobs without any issue. Because when you fight the final boss, you want your 4 main units that are doing any damage or acting at all to be in the back row so they don't get hit by the boss's initial front row debuff. But as you can see, you can see these weaknesses and refer back to it in the video, but here's a list of units that can exploit both bosses, so you could use them as your primary DPSs. So the main units that can exploit both of the bosses would be, the best unit would be Sazantos, because, I mean, he exploits sword and fire, and he just does a lot of damage. Signa via magic can hit light, and her fire exploits fire as well. Her light exploits fire. Ochette, if you have her, she can kill the main boss, but for the mid boss, only her EX skill can shave shields, and ultimate can do damage when broken. So, I mean, it is a valid option, but just keep that in mind. EX Loomis, if you did pull her as the Christmas Limited, she does exploit lightning with her bow attacks, so she can hit both the boss and mini boss. If you're a global player that pulled for kilns, he can also exploit lightning with his bow attacks. Cyrus has has fire and lightning attacks. Same for Isla. Technically, Solon exploits spear with his fire attacks, but I mean, he's there for his ultimate. I wouldn't use him to DPS, but technically he can hit both, so I've listed him. And then finally, Temenos does work because using his late power, he can hit all weaknesses. but because of that, because of the fact that he can only hit the mid boss normally, and the final boss is only weak to staff, and staff isn't that great, and compared to light, I probably wouldn't bring 10 minutes as a DPS. But if you're struggling to build a team, it is a valuable option. All right, so moving on to actual gameplay and explaining my teams. These are the characters that I use to farm for this Ouma 2. The front row characters right here, these you see, these are the 4 that are actually doing anything. The 4 in the back are actually doing nothing besides just hold accessories. These are the ones that I'm actually farming for TP. So like, even though I did say Signa works for this, like if you want to use her as a DPS, she's not here for that. She's just getting TP crystals at the moment. So basically, the main hero here is Santos. If you have him, you can just this almost free. Richard enables Santos. Canary with the dodge pet specifically, the lucky rabbit that lets you the taunt pet is what's really clutch here, and then Solon naturally for that. And you don't even need ult charge A4s because all you need is a pet that he can use on turn 1 to charge his ult or turn 2. And it's good. Just the turn 1 charge is just if you run into any ads. Because if you do mess up and run into a mob, you just Solon ult Santos, and he does a 6-hit AoE because he has his TP and you're good. So yeah, so Santos, just make sure he has a Nocturnal Sword 2, so the highest damage possible. I give him just, attack up accessories. I do have an FDA4, so auto crit, but if you don't have that, that's fine. Just you give him a damage cap doesn't matter. Just give him as much P attack as possible. That's what he wants. He just wants to hit as hard as possible. And I would give him Akala if you have the Akala pet, which everyone should, because you can get it for free. So Richard, I would not give him a Nocturnal Sword because he's not doing that much damage, even on the first one, mini boss, because the Nocturnal Sword raises the SP cost of everything Richard does, and that's why I would recommend just having a normal one. And then yeah, you just give him whatever accessories you want. I mean, I have Talak A4, so chance of PDF down, but that doesn't matter. I give him Crest of Ravis because that way it caps the sword's damage up and extra BP, but as I said, just any sword damage up, like Sacred A4 is fine, and he's fine. So for Canary, she is going to be breaking, at least on the main boss. She's going to be breaking both of the bosses. Again, I would not give her a Nocturnal Dagger because she doesn't need the speed. Plus, actually, you want the Dagger of the Beast specifically because it gives you 1 BP regen, and that's very important, so you can get her ultimate online on turn 2. Because even if she's ult 9, it still works. You give her breaker accessories, so, I have both of these for 30% sword damage. If you have Joshua A4, Jorn A4, that works. If you only have Jorn A4, then use that plus her A4 or Yenlong A4 just to get some defense down, but just give her the breast breaker gear that you have based on your account. Like I said, if you're just lacking on damage, then you might only kill the bosses on turn 3 on extra turn, but this will still work for you. And then for Solon, I literally just, he's just holding an accessory to give defense down because I have Nickel A4 and fire damage up, even though he's not really doing much. He has the sheep. This works. The healing cat also works at level 10 to allow you to use it on turn 1 if you run into an ad. If not, then it doesn't matter because if you don't mess up, you run into ads, and then you can just charge his ult doing a skill or using the pet as needed. So August A4 or Timonos A4 are not needed here. And then for the extra units, I mean, Orphanage postcard on whoever's buying Santos because 10% attack up. Other one doesn't matter. I lowered speed of the enemies, but that doesn't matter. Whoever's behind Richard, give them all the 4-star A4s that restore SP because Richard's the only one that has SP issues. If you do that, then he'll never run out of SP. Then, if you have these A4s, great. If you don't, it's not that big of a deal. Just throw them on if you got them. And 10 minutes has nothing. The only thing that matters is just make sure you have this on right here. This, as I said, is what makes this entire strat possible. They have Barrett 2. Buy this from the Silver Exchange if you don't have it. Just make sure you have it on. But otherwise, the accessories are just anything that enables the Santos, and you're good to go. So as for skills, the only things that really matter for him are basically you only need 3 skills. You don't need 4, so he's not A2. Don't worry about it. You need this. You need 8 hit to kill the boss. Use this Mass Sacred Blade Slash. Use this if you do run into an encounter and need to kill ads, and if you don't, you want to sub. And then basically, and his TP skill is very important. You're going to use this on both the mini boss and the main boss right at the start because it buffs him and it caps Richard's buff, and that's what enables him to do massive damage. Then you do use his ultimate. I do have it level 10, but level 1 ultimate's fine. It doesn't really matter because it's still going to get fully charged regardless because you're using 5 BP on turn 1. Make sure you do have his TP skill unlocked, so that way he starts the battle with 5 BP. So for Richard, the only skills that matter are just Torrent Formation, Rippling Slice. For Canary, it's really just Anti-Guard and her ult. That's it. For Solon, if you have Frederick A4, then you don't need this. But if you don't have Frederick A4, then on the boss, what you'll do is you'll use this turn 1 into Piercing Flame Lance turn 2, and you'll be fine. Because then you can cause them to combust turn 1, and then you use this turn 2. Otherwise, you just use this turn 2, both turns on the boss. And then, like I said, the other skills just don't matter. And then the last thing is, as you see, I have Ouma mobs here. I would recommend, just in case you run into a mob and mess up, so your run isn't messed up, just having 2. All it is just the rows are swapped so that the boss's debuff doesn't do anything to you. And with that, let me just do a run so you can see how easy it is. Alright, so when you get into the Ouma Realm, like I said, you want to you can peep that one up there to see if there's one there, and you want to walk slowly to the right, make sure there's not one over here. There's not, so then just go ahead and get the one at the top. And it doesn't matter when you get the heal or the mini boss, you won't run out of SP with this setup. Alright, so here's the mini boss. Alright, so the way I do this mini boss to kill it quickly is I do the TP skill first, max boost, Torrent Formation to buff him, use the Taunt Pet to give 1 BP, charge to Canary, and then Anti-Guard that gives her her ult, and then Solon just does this to get his ult charged. And then for the 2-turn kill, we just have Canary break this turn with her ult. He will ult Saz. Rippling Slice max boost. Go ahead and use the pet. And then use his ult. But like I said, if you can't do this, it's fine. Just break on turn 2. Use Solon if needed. And then just kill on turn 3. If your account is not as strong as mine, it's perfectly fine. You can still do this with just 4 units, so that way you can have the back row all be crystal farming. Alright, so then like I said, after you come over here, you're going to hit ladder 1 to reset the encounter rate, and then we're going to go check out the cliff. Usually pretty early you can see there's one on the cliff. There is, so keep going. And then from here, we're going to go to the left towards ladder 2. Pick up this one on the way. Go up ladder 2, go to the left, and the rest of the shadows are all going to be right here. And with this setup, even if you get unlucky with the healing shadow, even if you have to do mini boss, final boss, mini boss in between healing and have to do 3 fights, like Richard still won't run out of SP as long as he doesn't have the Nocturnal Sword on. And he gets SP regen from whoever's behind him. So yeah, check where the boss is. It's tempting to run to that, like click on that, but if you do that, you will get to a fight, so make sure you take ladder 2, again, to be safe. Then go straight to the boss. And then when you get back to this is where I'd recommend switching to your boss thing, because that way you'll see it. Because at the beginning of this fight, the boss is going to do an AoE debuff right at the start. And you don't want your DPS getting hit by that, because he's mean, so he does all that. Alright, so the way I do this one, same thing. Start with TP skill max boost. We'll start with Rippling Slice, hope it procs. Same deal. Taunt pet, so that way the boss will hit Canary, and she's also getting her ult full charged. And then I just do this. This is where if you don't have like the Frederica A4 for the auto burning or Solon A4, this is where you would use his combustion skill to combust the boss. So that way on his next turn, he can use this move to debuff the defense. Alright, so then we're going to go and get his ult charge there. I use Canary's ult early because this is for the 3-turn kill. You can save it if you want. But I do that. Make sure you charge Torrent Formation so that way Richard gets his ult. I just do this because that way the Saz's ult gets a little bit of a power up as well. And then we just wrap it up. Use the pet. Saber. Richard ult. And this attack doesn't really matter, but she just breaks and the boss dies. And as you can see, like I'm massively overkilling the boss here without too much issue. If your damage is a bit lower and you want to go for a 3-turn kill, you can like sacrifice a slot in the back row to throw Sigrid out to get the passive sword res down if needed. And so if your damage is a bit lower, I would recommend doing that and just farming 3 units at a time instead of 4. But regardless, it should be pretty simple. And even if you don't have Sazantos, as long as you like have Solon, you can probably build with like Kiln, ZX, Loomis, Ochette even, or Signa, and potentially make other teams work as well. But with this, like I said, you're getting 4 units, 4 units getting 23 crystals per run with no mobs. This is a very quick farm when you're not like slowly doing it. Like you can easily do a run in like 3 to 4 minutes. And yeah, it's pretty basic and simple. I would like to say really quick, just to show off one thing at the end. So like as I said, you're farming TP. So like for example, Sazantos, I already have this and this, and I'm working on getting this to this up here. That's why I'm getting light crystals. So for most units in the game, this is just a real quick thing so you understand how to farm effectively. For most units in the game, and for some you can even cut it off. For most units in the game, you just want their TP skill and their TP passive, and then they only really need their stat that matters to them. Like Sazantos does not care about magic. Like defense does very little in this game. Crit is okay and speed is okay, unit depending, but 90-95% of units just want their 1 stat. So because of that, for just getting their 1 stat, for farming light crystals, if you want to save these to instant level up units later, and you're wanting to farm now, you need 40 crystal. You need 40 crystals for the skill, 40 crystals for the passive. My mouse is backwards. Sorry. And then you need 660 crystals to get level 8 in the stat that matters to them. So because of that, that's 740 crystals. And on the current Ouma right now, with a very fast farm, that's going to be 33 runs. So you can farm a lot of your units in advance for units that you know when they get TP. Just to let you know that it is about 33 runs from nothing to get all the light crystals they'll need with this current Ouma. And like I said, this Ouma is very fast. Later Oumas do give more crystals per clear, but some of them are not nearly as fast as this one. So you'll have to judge whether this is worth farming for you or not. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions at all, please leave them below, and I'd be happy to assist. Otherwise, happy farming, and get that TP ready for your favorite units. Till next time, this has been Silver Roxas. Please like, share, and subscribe for future Octopath Traveler content, and I'll see you next time.